declares, woe to my people, the end is coming. As we know, according to the scriptures, the Bible speaks about the last days, the day of doom that is approaching this earth. The Most High also told us that He will let us have signs to identify when the time is at hand. But no man know the time. But we have to endure until the end, meaning holding on and keeping the laws and the commandments and doing what Christ commanded us to do. Let's start off in the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 7. The book of Wisdom of Solomon 18 and verse 7.
And the Apocrypha, the book, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 7. Son of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies.
Read
The book Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 7. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies.
So the Bible let us know we're going to have to accept both the destruction and salvation. Before you can receive salvation, destruction is going to come. When we got delivered out of Egypt, the Most High destroyed the Egyptian. And the same thing going to happen in this land as well. Destruction is going to come to this place right here, throughout all four corners of the earth. Because why? His people is scattered throughout every corner of this earth. So you're going to see many things happen throughout the earth. For whose sake? Israel's sake. The same way as we went into captivity, these nations got their judgment coming as well. Give me that in 1 Peter 4, and start at verse 17. 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 17.
The book 1 Peter, chapter 4 and verse 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of God.
So judgment had to begin in the house of God. When you go back in the book of Deuteronomy 28, that's when we went into our judgment. We went into captivity for breaking the laws and the commandments. Right now, we still are in judgment. When we in the fall right now, we call Jacob trouble. We see how people shot down in the streets. We see how people trying to get jobs. We see how households not actually together. We divide among one another. We got hatred toward one another. All these stuff is happening to us because why? Judgment is upon the nation of Israel to wake us up to repent, to come back to His laws and commandments. So judgment is our way first, Rick.
And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?
So the Bible says, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel of God? What shall be their outcome? So guess what? We're going to touch on that. Because the destruction is coming for Edom and all the other nations that do wrong to His people, and also the wickedness of Israel that don't want to change. They still want to hold on to the custom of America. They still want to hold on to the custom of China. They still want to hold on to the custom of Africa. Wherever we are scattered at, we still want to dabble in their customs. But majority, the main custom, everybody follow, is the custom after America. Because why? America spread their philosophy throughout the whole earth, even down to their dress code. When you look at China, when they have these meetings, have on their suits, but that's not their dress code. You go to Africa, they come in, they three-piece suit, they're not their custom. So they take on the ways of America. But their judgment is coming, and it's coming fast. Something just came across my mind. Just want to see if I can find it. Give me Revelation chapter 8 and verse 13. That's it.
The book of Revelation, chapter 8 and verse 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound.
So the prophet John the Revelator heard the angel saying, whoa, 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 meaning World War III is coming, and it's coming fast. We already went to World War I, we already went to World War II. Now, III is approaching very quickly. And it's time for Israel to wake up, especially those that's in the truth. We got a job on our hand to go out forward to spread this gospel. Because the stuff that y'all gonna see today, that the Most High lay on my spirit to be able to find these stuff on social media screen to edify the people, you're gonna be amazed on how fast this days is about to be over with. From there, give me the book of Jude 1 and 23.
The book of Jude, chapter 1 and verse 23. And others say with fear, pulling them out of the fire.
So when you go to the book of Jude, the Bible says some people we're going to have to save will fail. Because most people, you can't be soft-spoken when you know danger is coming. That's just like when your child is walking the street and not paying attention where they're going. You're not going to be, hey, get out of the road. Watch our car coming. No, you're going to say some foul language you saying too. Hey, get your ass out the road. Do you see that car coming? You're going to be, loud with it. So that's what we have to do in these last days. We have to literally scream to the people to let them know, why are y'all playing game with the Most High God? Why y'all not taking this seriously? And you got people in the truth that is awakened is not taking this seriously. They're playing game with this truth. They're playing game thinking, oh, we got time. Time is not on our side no more. Because your invisible, your own life can be taken from you tomorrow. It don't have to be when the destruction comes. The Most High can take you out of this world right now. So we don't have time to play game with no one. And nobody don't got time to play game with themselves. If you really serious about the truth, listen to the words of God being spoken today. Isaiah 13.
The book of Isaiah,
13 verse 5.
chapter 13 and verse 5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even to the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land.
The whole land. If you look at that word, land, just talk about one. These things that is going to come is coming for Babylon the Great right here. All this destruction, all these dangers that are going to come, it's going to come over this direction. The whole western hemisphere is going to be gone, y'all. There is not going to be a western hemisphere no more. This place is going to be gone. And for Israel that is not keeping the laws and the commandments, once again, I'm sorry, right? Give me Zechariah 1, Zechariah 1 and 8. Zechariah, I mean.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 13 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the
land, do that land have an S or is it single?
No S.
Great.
2 parts therein shall be cut off and die.
2/3 of Israel gonna be cut off and die. So you got a pie, and you cut 2/3 of that pie. That's half of the whole darn pie by itself. The Most High said he gonna kill 2/3 of his people in that land. That land is talking about AKK America over here. So you need to think about that, Israel. That shows you got 2/3 of Israel wicked. Or you got 3 people you standing to, and you speaking to 3 people, that means only 1 person out of that group gonna make it, the other 2 gonna die. Why? Because they ain't taking the words of God seriously. They're taking the words of God for a joke. They want to believe, they still want to hold on to Christianity. Believe in Jesus, that's all you got to do. You got grace and mercy. Grace is not going to be in that last day. Grace is going to be gone. Grace is just here at this moment to give us that time to change our ways. That's what grace is for. Read it again.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 13 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd shall be left therein.
He said the 3rd shall be left therein. Read.
And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God.
So the 1/3, those will be the brothers that are going to be keeping the laws and the commandments. They're going to be doing what God required for them to do. They're going to be the one crying out here to wake up the people. They're going to be the one telling you the kingdom of heaven is coming. It's coming fast. They're going to be the ones trying so hard to warn their families and friends. That 1/3 is going to be the only one that make it out of the destruction. But that 2/3, they're going to die. Ain't no ifs, ain't about that. We don't know who the 2/3 is going to be. We just need to pray that we're not that 2/3. Meaning we got to do our job. Stop playing game with God. Stop taking his son's death for a joke. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first video right here. Showing you how danger is approaching and is speeding up fast.
The tensions between the U.S. and Russia over Ukraine. Today, President Biden got a debrief from French President Emmanuel Macron after his one-on-one meeting with Vladimir Putin. We also learned that Vice President Harris will huddle with NATO allies in Munich next week. All of this as the military buildup in the region continues. And CBS's Charlie Daggett reports from the Baltic state of Estonia.
Today, the U.S. sent in the cavalry. The 2nd Cavalry Regiment out of Vilseck, Germany, loaded up this morning bound for Romania, right along the Ukrainian border. Around 1,000 U.S. troops and columns of Stryker armored vehicles. 1,700 soldiers of the 82nd Airborne are being sent to Poland, although they won't step 1 foot into Ukraine.
The focus of this particular mission, of course, is to reinforce the NATO alliance, to reassure our allies.
CBS News has learned that those troops will help set up staging posts in Poland should thousands of American citizens need to be evacuated if Russia invades Ukraine.
They are multi-mission capable, and they're going to be ready to do a number of contingencies, including, and he was asked, would that include evacuation? And he said, if that's what we're called to do, we're capable to do that.
The threat of war is escalating by the day, with the positioning of Russian air defense missile systems in Belarus, Russian fighter jets stepping up military drills, and Moscow's deployment of 6 more warships headed to the Black Sea for naval exercises. Baltic states like here in Estonia are especially concerned with the buildup. They are right along the border with Russia and Belarus, and they're specifically requesting more American support. Nora?
Charlie Daga, thank you.
So this right here, this, maybe 4 days ago, this news report right here, showing you they set it up for war. You know that scripture Christ said, woe to those with child in the winter? Oh, you ever noticed it? They always have a lot of stuff start breaking out around the winter time. It never fails. Always around the cold season when they want to start committing or start a war. So the next one, the next video, gonna show you as well how the dude gonna speak about this whole incident right here that's going down. Let you know that these people ain't playing around. See, right now, China got their little, what they call that little activity that they do right now? The Olympic day. They got the Olympic going on. So right now, Putin's sitting back because he knows China gonna be on his side regardless. So right now, he just sitting back to let them play their little game. But you don't know what might happen after this whole thing over with. But we're not saying this is the end of time. But we gotta play ourselves.
The message coming out of China is getting louder by the day. It doesn't like other countries, especially Australia, ganging up and meddling in its affairs. As we know, Beijing is currently doing its best to punish us economically, but in the last few days, President Xi Jinping has also ratcheted up the rhetoric by warning of the perils of a new Cold War. A loose translation is, if we don't stop poking the panda, we'll face serious consequences. Now, it's worth taking that threat seriously because Xi controls the largest military force in the world. And as one of his supporters cautions tonight, the cost of conflict with China could be Armageddon. It's a prospect as terrifying as it is unthinkable. A military showdown between two nuclear-armed superpowers, the United States and China. A conflict that could reshape the world order. Is Australia vulnerable at the moment?
Australia is monstrously vulnerable at the
I want to
moment.
listen to this dude right here very close.
Faith that American military power is infinite, and it's not.
Tonight, leading minds on the looming war with China.
It's going to be waged on an economic front. It's going to be waged on a social affairs front. They're going to come at us all ways.
How likely is it? How prepared are we? And at what cost for us and the world?
Use all your imagination. Think about all the nightmares you can think of. And what will happen will be 10 times more than your worst nightmare. You are talking about the possibility of Armageddon.
Taipei is a modern metropolis, capital of Taiwan, an island half the size of Tasmania. But you said Australia should show China more respect, but it sounds to me like you want Australia to kneel down before China and fear them.
Absolutely not. I think China probably at the heart is a country of pandas. Do you really want to fear panda? Do you think a kangaroo will fear a panda? Probably not. A panda probably will run away in front of a leg-kicking kangaroo.
This is what we will get all the time from, as people say, the panda huggers. I believe that the Chinese Communist Party's aim is to be dominant in this region and perhaps dominant in the world. And this is a zero-sum game. It must remove America from the Western Pacific in order to be dominant in this region. Simple as that.
Few have a handle on the strategic perils of the Taiwan issue, quite like Australia's former Major General, Jim Molan. A lot of experts are looking in the crystal ball at the moment, trying to figure out if and when there would be war over Taiwan. When do you think this is likely to all play out?
Fundamentally, given the power that they have now in their military, they could act any time from now on. And that's what frightens me more than anything.
So if a move on Taiwan does happen, how is it likely to play out? Jim Holland believes there are three likely possibilities.
The first scenario is what I call the incremental model. China places a blockade around Taiwan, a no-sail, no-fly blockade, says to Taiwan, okay, well, you can happily go bankrupt Taiwan, and let's see what the Americans do.
So this ain't going bankrupt. They know, that's why you know that how the import is like on freeze market on some level. You can't get certain stuff. America know how they can break these nations. Well, you don't want to do what we want to do, we want to cut back your money from you. So these people, they're to the point like the man said earlier, they need to start pointing their nose at other people's affairs. Start worrying about what we doing over here. But we know America don't like that. They got to put their nose in everybody's business, because that's just who they are. And the Most High said on their spirit to be that way. Because the Most High is in control of all this right here. Well,
now, the Chinese can back off if the Americans come through with overwhelming force, which I don't believe they can. But until then, China may be able to achieve its aim without fighting. The second scenario is a sudden attack, a Pearl Harbor type attack, to take out all the American bases in Japan, in South Korea, and in Guam. And then they turn around and say to Taiwan, well, what do you reckon, Taiwan? Do you want to be destroyed by us?
The
third model is to do...
So they set out where they know America industry is mostly set up at. But we take all these people right here out, then what they gonna do, because America is so dumbfounded, they gonna start sending people over there. Then they gonna leave them wide open. These people smart, but they ain't smart because who behind the scenes? The Most High God moving this. He the mastermind of this whole thing. But for our people, Israel, the Most High God is giving us signs to see this stuff, but what are people doing? They're still doing their same old routine throughout their life. Not paying no attention in the sign that is coming. When we on the streets and we speak about this stuff, man, we've been hearing this for many years, man. Y'all talking out your head. Ain't no wall gonna break up. Okay, play on.
Both. The second China starts targeting US military assets, surely then it's a very slippery slope towards all-out nuclear war.
No, I don't believe that's the case. America would be foolish, even though it may have suffered a tactical defeat, to use nuclear weapons, because it would start losing American cities.
It's a terrifying prospect. The two biggest powers in the world going toe-to-toe. But as you'll see, there are strong reasons to believe
they're in the future, 10, 20 years away. The question I've got is, what are we going to do?
If you get attacked and you want to walk away with your life, do not use traditional
for the next war. And the next war is not going to be 10 or 20 years away.
I want to listen to what he said right here. Listen to it, because remember, Obama speak about the C-19. He said, that's about 5 years. Right in 5 years, what pop up throughout the earth? C-19. Everybody know what that means, right? Because I don't want to call the name out because we know how they get soft and they want to shut you down. But back in 5 years, that's when this stuff broke out. So meaning, they already had put this stuff out in the air, they didn't decide to see how it was going to activate. And they'll be like, that their people was getting killed, but the other people that they trying to kill wasn't dying off. So they had to shrink it a little bit more, and then Israel, guess what? You start dropping off like flies. Because they know that we don't eat healthy like that. So now they're attacking that. Also, when you look at your food import coming in and out, why those certain food is lacking in the grocery stores? And then when it come in the grocery store, it come in by the load. Why is the government trying to give you free food stamps? Why? Because they know you're going to run and you're going to stack up and buy all these food, junk food that you always eat, and guess what? The C-19 might be sitting in the food. Just like they did to Native American with smallpox, when they put it in the clothes. These people is the devil. Y'all don't know how wicked these people actually move. But the only reason why they got that kind of power and knowledge to do that, because the Most High God allowed them to have that skill. Because he wants this nation to be the nation way powerful than in Egypt. So when he takes this down, that's what the Bible said. They're not going to talk about the deliverance from Egypt no more. They're going to speak about the deliverance from the north. Play on.
Mate, it's excellent to have something out there in the future, 10, 20 years away. The question I've got is, what are we going to do for the next war? And the next war is not going to be 10 or 20 years away. It's going to be in the next 3 to 10 years. My estimate is, in a serious fight, the Australian Defence Force only has enough missiles for days. There in the future, 10, 20 years away. The question I've got is, what are we going to do for the next war? And the next war is not going to be 10.
Obama said, what are we going to do of a major pandemic come out? Remember he said that? This dude was saying the same thing. What are we going to do of another major war break up? Play on.
And or 20 years away, it's going to be in the next 3 to 10 years.
He said it ain't going to be in the next 20 years. He said it might be in the next 3 to 10 years. These people already know what they got set up. They know when they want to take this stuff off. In Israel, we're not taking it seriously. We're not taking this to the level where God tells us to take this stuff to. We still dragging our feet. We still want to play hopscotch, dollar jump, whatever you want to call it, double dutch. We still want to play games, jumping in and out. No, when you jump in, you need to start staying in these laws and these commandments. Because you may jump out the next time, and you might not make it back in. This devil just said on his own mouth, it ain't going to be the next 20 years. He said it might be the next 3 to 10 years. So when you have families and friends that don't want to listen to the truth, you need to start teaching them some faith in their life. Like Jude just get to speak him out. Let them know the fire is coming. You might not see your next 25 birthday or your next 30 birthday. This is how serious this stuff really is. You might not see your kids graduate out of high school. You might not even see your grandkids grow up to be a grown adult. Play on.
In a serious fight, the Australian Defence Force only has enough missiles for days. This is not going to be resolved in days. And of course, we're not big enough. We should expand the Defence Force significantly.
It's a pretty bleak picture you paint. It sounds like we're stuffed.
I don't think being stuffed is a strategic word that I've used very often, but it's not bad. We should fund defence now based on our assessment of the national security strategy, which is based on the war that we want to win.
In short, you think Australia needs to prepare for war tomorrow?
Absolutely.
One thing is
What
clear.
you need to say? You need to prepare for war like tomorrow. You better not wait like y'all did the C-19. Because you wait, we gonna get defeated. That was literally saying in words. If you sit back, Joe Biden, that's what he's saying, you gonna cause us to die. You need to react now. That's what he's saying. But guess what, Esau? You can get ready today, tomorrow, whenever. The victory is already over with. Israel, you gotta be the one to make sure that you is on the winning side. You gotta make sure that you the one keeping the laws and the commandments. Because you ain't keeping the laws and the commandments, you will be on the losing side. You will be that 2/3. That's prophecy. There's not a prophecy that failed in this Bible yet. So Israel, what you going to do? Like that guy on that movie, what you going to do? The clock is ticking. Play on.
While Australia's new subs will be nuclear powered, they won't be carrying nuclear warheads. But veteran Communist Party loyalist Victor Gao says Australia has already crossed the nuclear line.
I would say the AUKUS deal in itself, by enabling Australia to build nuclear submarines, will have one big consequence for Australia. That is, Australia will no longer enjoy the benefit and the very rare privilege of not being targeted with nuclear weapons going forward.
I think you're comparing oranges and apples there. Australia is doing a deal for nuclear-powered subs. They're not getting nuclear weapons. Why should Australia then be a target of nuclear weapons?
Listen to me.
No, look at this dude's face. He like, bro, you think we stupid? We know what y'all doing. That's what he's saying. You gotta read between the lines, because these people, this news thing right here, I think this what, 60 Minutes, CBN news day, or whatever this is, CNN, whatever, they're not gonna give you the whole information on this stuff. So you have to be wise and read through the line what these people are saying. Because they know they bluntly come out and say what they say, they're gonna be whole in contempt on some kind of level. So you got to read through the line. They know what America's doing. And America's the one who causing a lot of this stuff. And that what Putin is speaking about as well. Well,
Troops in a submarine can be armed with both nuclear warheads and conventional warheads. Now, in the heat of a battle or in the heat of a war, do you think Australia will allow inspection as to what kind of warhead you put into that big tube? I can bet you, in the heat of battle, no one will pause. And the safe approach is to target Australia as a nuclear-armed country.
Senior figures in China have said that because Australia has entered into the AUKUS agreement, that it is now a target for nuclear weapons. Do you think that's just bluff and bluster?
I would call that bluff and bluster in that category specifically.
From overseeing the most powerful naval fleet on Earth, Richard Spencer prefers a quieter life there.
so these people said, you really think these people have these big tanks coming across the water with no nuclear warhead in it? Well, you believe that you the fool. That's just like Putin was saying that. They were saying, America said that they were doing little test runs, but there's not active nuke on these stuff. He said, that's just like I'm telling you, I have a gun and I'm pointing at you, but it's blank, and ain't no bullets in the gun. What you gonna do? You gonna put your gun on and you gonna shoot first. You ain't gonna sit like this and say, oh, he ain't got no blank in it, he good. No, you be a fool. So they people say they don't believe, these people already dealt with this country for many years, and they know they never tell the truth on nothing. Like the Bible says, their words are smooth like butter, but they got war within their heart. Meaning they is ready to attack at any moment. And you be a fool to sit right there and believe that. And guess what? It's sad to say, a lot of our people is that fool. Because they believe anything what they see on TV.
Especially gas.
They believe everything. Everything these people say, they believe that stuff. Play on.
These days. As former Secretary of the US Navy under Donald Trump, he watched China's military power and belligerence grow. But he's cautiously optimistic that tensions won't spill into all-out war.
You know, China, I believe, is looking for.
So, this is why we have to continue to keep teaching our nation, teaching our children, and teaching them the laws and the commandments. In the process that you're teaching your children the laws and the commandments, you also got to teach them war is coming. coming. Give me that in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 7.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So the Bible tells me to teach our children diligently. When you lay down, when you rise up, throughout your whole day, you should be teaching your kids these laws and the commandments, that they may live according to what God set for us. Not only you teaching them the laws and the commandments, you teaching them, letting them know the reason why you got to keep these laws and the commandments, because dangers is coming through this land to bring us back to our homeland. That's what you got to be teaching the children. You got to teach them that we don't got time to be playing games. There's a time to play and a time to be seriously. You cannot be just thinking it's playtime every day when danger's sitting around the corner. From there, give me 2nd Esdras 7 and 36. Second Esdras chapter 7 and verse 36.
The book, 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 36. Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites, and Moses for the father that sinned in the wilderness.
So right here we see Esdras showing that Abraham prayed for the Sodomite, and Moses prayed for the fathers in the wilderness. So when you look at this whole concept right here, when Ezra is saying that Moses prayed for the Sodomite, and Abraham prayed for the Sodomite, and Moses prayed for the children in the wilderness, meaning we're going to have to pray for our people as well. Because we got family members that might be Sodomites. We know we got family members that is doing wicked stuff out here. So the same way as our forefathers pray for the wicked of our people, we have to do the same thing. Give me 2nd Esdras 7 and 36.
That was it.
What was it?
7 and 36.
Genesis, might be Genesis 18, 16. To go see what Esdras is speaking about. Genesis chapter 18 and verse 16. You must start at verse 16.
The book Genesis chapter 18 and verse 16. And the man rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him.
So the angel says, shall I hit this stuff that we know we're about to do to Sodom? Should I not tell him that? Why did the angel say that? Because who was in that land of Sodom? Lot. So Abraham being such a friend of God, God felt like it was his responsibility to let Abraham know. Same way as for us. We see the danger coming. We see the destruction coming. So we hold our peace and not tell nobody about it? No. We need to let people know. We have to warn our families and friends. But we can't be letting people know, or we still living in the midst of sin. Or we letting people know the danger coming. Now people will look at you and say, you really keeping the laws and the commandments to be able to be saved too. Because you're not keeping the laws and the commandments, and you're not letting your light shine, people ain't gonna take you seriously. So we know the Bible said, I want to read verse 19 again.
Verse 19, for I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him.
Read start 19 again. Because 18 says, see that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. 19, why would you get 19? Read that.
Verse 19, for I know him, that he will command his children and his household.
He will do what?
He will command his children and his household after him.
Meaning Abraham will do what God tell him to do. And he will command his household. He will command his house to do according to the laws and the commandments. That's why the Most High called Abraham a friend. Because he know Abraham not going to do something opposite when he already tell him what to do. And that's where we have to be at. We got to make sure we in that same concept, just like our forefather Abraham. When God tells us to move, we have to move. We can't just standing in one area and not doing the Lord's work. We can't be sitting people around us when you know they continue to keep on willfully sinning. You got to correct them. Like I just said in the book of Jude, correct them with fear. Or you don't get yourself right, you're going to hell. Tell them straight up. Don't be cutting corner nothing. Oh, hell is such a bad word. Well, hell is in the Bible. Guess what? We in hell right now. You try to save your people from the lake of fire. That's the second hell. The word hell just means torment. You try to save your loved one from that fire that is coming. Read.
And they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him.
Read.
And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because their sin is very grievous.
Their sin was so bad that the sin reached up to the heavens, to the throne of God. The angel reported, oh my God, what is this going on down here? All kind of filth was going on. Sodom was so filthy with so much man sleeping with man, woman sleeping with woman. They probably was even sleeping with animals down there. They were doing all kind of wickedness. That's why the Bible in Revelation said this place right here is called what? Spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah. Because guess what? The sin of this place is reaching to the heavens. Read.
Verse 21, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know.
Read.
And the man turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein?
So right here, Abraham is pleading with the Most High God. Literally, here with purification, he pleaded with God. But there's only 50 people, Lord. Will you destroy the righteous with the wicked? Read on.
Verse 25. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sake.
So what I said, all right, if I see 50 righteous in the city, I'm going to spare their life. Basically, he really doing it for Abraham. But Abraham had to think about that. Ain't no 50 right people in there. These people wicked. So what would Abraham have to say? He had to plead again. Read.
And Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes.
So Abraham recognized who he was. He said, "My Lord, I'm not about dust and ashes, but Lord, I'm just begging you again." But you know, a lot of people, they will pray and they come to the Most High bold, thinking they got the right to stand before the grace of God and ask for something. When you know you're in the midst of sin. That's how we gotta check ourselves. Because we reckon ourselves a whole lot. Read.
Verse 28. Peradventure, there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it.
Read.
And he spake unto him yet again and said, Peradventure, there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, Oh, let not the Lord be angry. And I will speak peradventure, there shall 30 be found there.
So Abraham already knows. Oh man. Lord, please don't be angry with me. I'm repeating myself again, basically. He keep going down on the number. Read.
And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure, there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry with me. And I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place.
So Abraham started with 50 and went all the way down to 10. Show you how wicked that nation was. So when you look around us, we're in the same boat with Abraham at. Especially for the brothers. When we go out here in the town of Anderson, we're like, man, these people down here wicked as hell. But we know we can't give up. We got to continue to keep praying for these people. We got to keep on asking the Most High, show me a sign, how can I reach your people? How can I bring this truth to them to let them see that they are in danger? The fire is coming. You know, the scripture said, I think it said in Ezekiel, might be in Washington, and it said, the angels is lined up in the atmosphere, waiting to send out the sons. The angel said, we can't see it, but the angel out watching right now, waking. The angel ready for war. Christ is ready for war. Because Christ said, I don't even know the time. Only my Father. So Christ ready to demolish this place right here. And we want to see how powerful Christ really is when he's ready to tear the place apart. So Abraham prayed for the people to save Sodom and Gomorrah. As you know, as the story went on, Sodom and Gomorrah ain't had no righteous people in it, and that place got destroyed by fire. Give me Exodus 32. Let's go to our next forefather, Moses.
Got it, sir.
Yeah, sorry, verse 7.
The book of Exodus, chapter 32 and verse 7. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them.
That's a lot of Israelite people. Coming to the truth, know who they are, know that we're supposed to keep the laws and the commandments, and when they start seeing day and dry, they turn away quickly, go right back into the world. And that's sad. Because like that song I love to listen to, what is out there for you. Once you already understand the truth, and once you see the danger is coming, what is out there for you to go back into this world? When you already realize and you see for yourself the lie that the pastor and them teach every Sunday, the lie that the news reporters put on the TV every day, what in your right mind make you want to go back out into the world? Christ said it's better for you not to even know me. You'd be better off if someone brought the truth to you. You should have just ran. Because you know you will be that wicked person that don't keep it. That's why that's why I say here, we on thin ice. We gotta make sure that we don't fall off. And the only way you don't have to fall off, you gotta stay in the book. Learn how to congregate every Sabbath day. Making your aim, making your life duty to be here on the Sabbath. If you can, make it on Wednesday class. To learn more. Turn on the TV and watch the things that we are teaching. Or you don't remember something, go back and find the classes that we already teach on. Because you got to try your hardest to stay in the truth. Because Satan is pouring every angle to bring you out. Read.
They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
That shows you how dumb our people really is. You gonna make a statue out of your own hand, and you gonna say, these be the statue that brought us out of Egypt. Bro, how slow can you must be a retard. You saw the miracle the Most High God brought you out of this city, out of the captivity that you've been in, and you so much want to do the stuff of the Egyptian and build a calf, and then look at each other, this will be our God. You had, the Most High had the right to kill you when you said that. Because that's dumb. But I know, I'm speaking on it, but I might probably was that one back then that said that dumb crap. Because guess what? Regeneration. We don't know.
They were smoking crack back
then. Yeah, that crap wasn't even the word. They were smoking back then. They were smoking that gold dust. But guess what? It's going to be the same in these last days. When we in that wilderness, you going to have some dummy going to say, boy, I remember back in America, we had that good food over there. Remember that car you used to drive? Because you know your car can be an idol. Oh, I had me a big house in America. And you're going to die. And when you die in that wilderness, that's going to be your eternal death. That's why the Bible is written aforetime for our learning. Rehearsally righteous act. Make sure this don't be us. Or make sure this don't be us again. Read on.
Verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people.
Most of us, I've seen these people. I know you people right here. These are stiff-necked people. That's the same thing right now. A lot of people get mad when we say that. We sit down, we look at certain people, and you can tell that brother ain't going to change, man. That sister ain't going to change. That sister still want to be the homemonger that she is. She loved that lifestyle. She loved to wear her tight pants. That brother liked to jump from bed to bed. Until one day he going to catch the wrong bed to jump in, going to be a bully. The Most High said, I know these people. On there for us, we might get a look at somebody and say, man, this person ain't going to change, but guess what? We can't condemn that person. The only thing we can do is, brother, you need to get your mind right and repent. And pray for that person. And pray that they don't be that too done. But majority of the time, you can look at somebody that, oh Lord, please have mercy on that soul right there. That's all we can do. Read.
Verse 10. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them.
The Most High said, leave me alone, so I can let my anger, my wrath go against them. The Most High was going to destroy Israel. Read on. He wants to tell you, read.
And I will make of thee a great nation.
He said, I'm going to make a great nation, starting with you, Moses. The rest of those wicked people, I'm going to kill every last one of them. Read.
And Moses besought the Lord his God and said, Lord, why does thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out to slay them in the mountain and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people.
So he said repent, meaning God don't got to repent for nothing, because there ain't no evil in him. There is no sin in God. When they say repent, meaning God show us grace and mercy. He give us a second chance. Because the Most High was going to destroy it, but guess what? Right now, the only person who actually given the Most High that time not to kill us right now is Christ. Christ right there said, you know what? He gonna come around, Lord. Just give him a chance. He coming around. I'm gonna work with him. Christ is our adversary right now for us. If Christ was not up there, mediator, that's what I mean. If Christ was not up there speaking for us, we all would have been dead by now. Because Most High would have sent the warrior angel, kill him. You still want to be a whoremonger? Kill him like this right here. Because remember, one story said, the good angel, the bad angel came around, and they were discussing how can they do this. So, it was a joke, yeah. So, you know you got the warrior angel sitting around, oh Lord, let me do it like this. Yeah, I can make your head blow off in the air. I can make your spine come out the back. Like, you know that movie, Final Destination, on how these people be dying and way they looking at it? That's the way how the angel be looking, yeah, I can make them die just like that. But you got Christ and know, that's my servant. He gonna come around. Give him time. But that clock is ticking. They're gonna get to that point, Christ gonna say, oh, you tell me to go ahead, my Lord? Oh, yes. Christ gonna be on that chariot. And guess where grace gonna be at? Gone. So I can see the black behind Christian right now. I got grace. I got grace. God will deliver us. We're going up in the air. Clapping and everything. Okay. We're going to see. So Abraham prayed for the Sodomite. Same thing like for the Lord, we might got Sodomite in our family. That we got to pray that the Most High open their eyes up to understand on you can't be that way. Repent and turn away from that sin. Same way for Moses. We got a lot of our family members. Definitely is in the concept of Moses, because a lot of our family worship idols. If you still go to Christian church, you serving another God. I don't care who your family member is. That's what they're doing. Or they celebrating birthdays, any holidays, according to American setup that is not in the Bible, they serving another God. Ain't no ifs, and about that. They ain't even put the money before the Most High God. So all our family, we were once in that same boat. But thank God, by the grace of Jesus Christ, He woke us up before it been too late. Thank you, Lord. From there, give me yeah, go down to 14. Yeah, that's right.
Verse 13. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servant, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
Like I said, the Most High don't got to repent. The Most High to show us grace and mercy that we don't have to die. That's what that means by repenting. I remember one time I've been in a church, and we came across that one time. And I remember a pastor said, see, God had to repent because he was about to do evil toward his people. And I actually thought that was true until I actually came into the truth and realized what that really means. That's why I said, man, those people that still going to the Christian church, y'all being warned to get the H out of the church. Because you keep sitting up in the church, you deserve whatever you got coming your way. At the end of the day, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Because you can't say nobody didn't warn you. Those that was warned to get out of the church and get out of the custom of America, and you don't want to listen, you deserve any plague that comes your way. Because that's the only thing that's going to wake you up, you deserve it. From there, give me Revelation 18. In verse 4.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18 and verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
So, John had a voice tell, come out of her, my people. My people is speaking about the nation of Israel. Give me that in Matthew 2 and 6. To prove who my people is.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 2 and verse 6. And though Bethlehem in the land of Judah are not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
My people who?
My people Israel.
That you so-called blacks, Spanish, and Native American. You are the Israelite the Bible speak about. Christ will tell us to come out of her, my people, meaning come out of the church. Come out of the philosophy of America. Come out of the doctrine that you are living in. That's what that means. That don't mean come out of America and go over in Egypt. Now you got some school that actually did that. Don't you know the Bible says destruction will be throughout all these places? So where do you think you run into? You think because you run over there, you don't want to get killed? That's why a lot of them trying to come back because they're being persecuted over there right now. You think those people are going to give up that land because you bringing your black behind back over there? No. They know who you are. You lucky they ain't killing you right now over there. Our people need to wake up and stop being so dumbfounded. Give me 2nd Ezra 7. We're going to be in the book of Ezra probably a whole bit. Because Ezra had a lot of prophecy. Most High showed him so many visions. Ezra chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse. Let's start at verse 41.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 41. Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up, and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. Wherefore shall it not be so now also?
So right here it says, even so now seeing corruption is growing. When you look throughout this earth, corruption is way throughout this land. Everything in this land is being corrupted right now as we speak. It also say, read that one more time again, because we're doing something else. Read that again.
Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up, and wickedness increased.
And wickedness is increasing at a mean, when you look throughout this earth, so much wickedness is going on throughout the earth. So I had to prove it again with some different videos to show you how wicked America is really becoming. So right here, when you look at this video that we're about to pull up, this one right here is Bill Gates trying to block out the sun. He think he God.
I who made billions out of creating super clunky corporate software. What you didn't realize is that Bill Gates doesn't think of himself that way. Bill Gates doesn't think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God. He controls the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that, but that isn't at Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of...
So you notice that lately, I believe they're already doing that. Because you know lately how we all get in these cloudy weather? It seems like you never suddenly. We got more clouds than I ever know in my lifetime. I believe they're always doing this right now. I really do believe that. Because you look at a lot of these planes half of the time, they all got a darn smoke cloud coming right behind them. But when you look at the other concept, every time, so we got this weird-looking cloud in the air, that C-19 thing is getting worse over the news. Play on.
Those light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle, this is over your yard, and our oceans, and the whole planet. Now, according to Forbes, Frank Kuch, who's the project's top investigator, quote, does not know what the results might bring. I'll just experiment with it and find out what...
We know what the result going to bring. Who need more sunlight than any races? Black folks. Because white folks' skin get burned in the sun. That's why they call this stuff what they call vitamin D. We get that from the sun. But when you block out the sun, that will make our vitamin D evolve within us like it's supposed to. So guess what that can cause? A lot of sickness, a lot of bacteria, a lot of disease get attack you quicker. Because why? You're not in the sun that much. That's why when you notice when that C-19 break out, people who normally work outside in the sun all the time, they wasn't getting sick. But you know over in Africa, people wasn't catching it over there. Because why? They're constantly in the sun. But when you got people that work in the hospital, work in offices, work in plant, the plant was the #1 catching these diseases on rampage. Why? Because when we leave the plant, what do? We go home and we sit in our house and get no kind of sunlight. So a lot of people are like, I get vitamin D pills. Guess what? They cut it down so you ain't getting the whole vitamin D. So Esau knows exactly what he's doing. Esau is playing God. That's why the Most High is going to bring him to death. Just why? And you got all people, what about the white man? Is he going to be saved? No, God ain't going to save him because he thinks he's God.
It's a little alarming to think that someone as myopic and out of touch and totally ideological and weird as Bill Gates thinks he's in charge of the planet, what should we be worried about here?
I mean, basically everything. I mean, when I first heard about this over 2 decades ago, this was a thought experiment, but this is real. They're really trying to do this. They've encountered opposition every step of the way. I've co-authored articles with the Harvard investigator. We've told him personally this is a terrible idea. The vast majority of scientists.
He heard this over a decade ago. So that means they were talking about this long time ago. And now they're bringing it to action. That's why I tell a lot of people, when you see things happening around you, don't think it's something new. These people are already working with this stuff. That's just like, I'm gonna give you a prime example, that's just like your cell phone you got. Everybody think these cell phones, so these people already had cell phones way back there in the early 1600s. 1960s, 1950s. They had cell phones. But the civilian, we had it. So they had to move it in slowly by slowly to see how the people are going to adapt to it. Just like smart TVs. These stuff was out. Then they're going to see how fast will it take. They show it on different movie shows. They see people like that. Oh, that's cool. Boy, that'd be something cool to have. Hey, Jake, they like that. Let's go ahead and do it. They put it out on the market. And when they put it on the market, they put it sky high for the poor class can't get it. And they might find that the good deal ain't go sky high because the rich folks get it off, the people who got money. And then they add something to the poor one when they put it back on the market and drop the price. Just like these medicine. You got your generic brand and you got your, what they call that stuff? Generic brand and the all brand. You think the all brand really got what the generic brand got? No. These people is devil, man. The Most High is revealing them. And the Bible says that he will let their own people talk on them. And that's all you see now. A lot of Esau is talking on their own people.
Remember, what they're proposing to do is identical to what we feared would occur after nuclear war in the 1980s, which is nuclear winter. The idea is that you cool the planet deliberately. The effects on crops are completely unknown. They call this an experiment, but they know that there is no way to figure out what the large-scale planetary effects of this kind of thing would be. It's grossly irresponsible. They know for a fact that they will never get international agreement on this. So they're basically trying to socialize the idea, normalize the idea, make us comfortable with an idea that should make us extremely uncomfortable.
See what I'm saying? You drop that. That's what they do. They're going to make you feel comfortable, like, no, it's for your own benefit. It's going to help you. And you know, Esau going to jump on it because you got to worry about getting sunburned no more. You got to worry about buying all these sun cream. And like, you got black people, oh, I got no sun cream? Bro. Like, bro, really? Get out of my face right now. But they don't worry about the food because most of your food now is grown in the lab. So you're not eating real food. I never forget, me and my wife went in Angles to get some cabbage. And you got your regular cabbage and you have your organic. I never saw a big cabbage in my life. That joint was about 2 sizes of my head. And I'm looking at the other cabbage, and it's organic, and I'm looking at this one, man, get that organic right there. Because I know that cabbage was made in the lab, or that junk from China where they make it out of plastic. I'm not eating that.
They're making, in China right now, they're making rice out of plastic.
I saw that.
China produces more than 200 tons of rice annually, which makes it the largest rice producer in the world. However, according to a recent The Korean Times report, Chinese rice is very dangerous and made of plastic. The report said that Chinese producers sell artificial rice made of potato starch and plastic which is steamed with rice aroma in the end. After further investigation into the matter, it was discovered that the fake Chinese rice contains as much plastic as a little plastic bag. Luckily, The rice differs from real rice in many ways, and you can easily determine which one is fake by following these simple tips: the mortar and pestle test. Crush a few grains of rice and observe if the rice becomes fine white powder, it is organic. If it leaves a yellow stain in the mortar, it's plastic. The fire test. Light a couple of rice kernels and see if they burn. If they do, the rice you bought is fake. The water test. Pour a tablespoon of the rice in a glass of water. If it's organic, it should fall to the bottom of the glass. The mold test. Cook a handful of rice in water, then put it in a plastic container and leave it in a sunny spot for a few days. Real, organic rice should be moldy in 2 days, the fake rice will stay intact. If you suspect that the rice you've bought is plastic, try these tips to easily detect its quality.
Get the next one on Obama. This is the next thing. The thing we're going over is showing you in Second Esdras. Read that part again. Second Esdras. 41.
The book of Second Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 41. Even so now, seeing corruption is grown up, and wickedness increased.
The wickedness had increased throughout the land. Read.
And
play the deal.
Just between a man and a woman.
This is when Obama was running during the time for president, I guess, in 2004. And it was trying to pass same-sex marriage. Now we was reading, and what's God, but Bible said, we got to pray for these people to hope that they get changed. But there's a reason why we have to pray. Because he passed this law that it's all right for same-sex marriage. When he know that that's not right, but ain't nothing he can really do, because the people who working behind the scene said, do it. You don't do this, you ain't gonna be president. And when we take you out the office, we're gonna put you to death. So guess what? He had no choice but to make this happen.
I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
See what he just said?
But I also
believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. So these devils, they know what the Bible said. They know that truth. All nations know that truth. But for you to work for the devil, you got to do what the devil tell you to do. Play?
Detest the sort of bashing and vilifying gays and lesbians because I think it's unduly divisive. It's unnecessary.
This right here is why they will pass it to make you seem, oh, it's nothing wrong with it, because you feel like people should have their own opinion on who they love, and you shouldn't be bashing nobody or putting harm toward nobody. Ain't nobody said you put harm to nobody. We supposed to show love to all our people. But when it comes to the laws and the commandments of God, we got to let you know you wrong. And if you don't change, you go into the lake of fire. Point blank period. So at the end of the day, the people got to know that that's wrong. But when you in this type of area and you choose their philosophy, when the Bible said, come out of her, my people, when you stay in her and you take on her custom and her ways, this is what you end up saying. Play?
Gays and lesbians are simply seeking basic recognition of their rights so that they're not discriminated against in employment, that they're not discriminated against with respect to renting a house, that they are able to visit their partner in a hospital, that they can transfer property. Those, I think, are, in the words of Vice President Cheney, rights for everybody, not just for some people.
You know what's killing my mind? This like his son, just like when in the Garden of Eden, when the snake told Eve, oh, you're not sure you're going to die. This is how the devil speak. He speak with smooth words. He make you think that, oh no, see, what we trying to do to make people feel comfortable or give people the right to be able to go in the hospital and visit their loved ones. Or when their loved one died, they can have right to whatever that is. Bro, ain't they got something called a will? So all you gotta do is get a will wrote out and say, this is what you want this to go to. So why do you think you have to pass a law to make this right? It's all a darn game. To put the people in sin. That's all this is. Play.
We've got to make sure that everybody is equal under the law. And the civil unions that I propose would be equivalent in terms of making sure that all the rights that are conferred by the state are equal for same-sex couples as well as for heterosexual couples. Now, with respect to marriage, it's my belief that it's up to the individual denominations to make a decision as to whether they want to recognize marriage or not. But
you dropped that in. So look at him show you, people like him, they were thinking in mind, you know, see, I'm not for that. I wasn't with that. But you ain't agreement with them. And the Bible says, you ain't agreement with them, you are guilty. So when Christ comes back, you will get to death. That go back for a lot of people who got kids that is that way. And you agree with your kids in saying that, you know, I'm still going to love you, you still are going to be my child no matter what. And you bring that abomination up in your house. Guess what God said? You ain't agreement with them. Yeah, you said that's your child, but that's my creation. And I said, I don't like it. So who you think you is to argue with the Most High God? You just the vessel that give birth to that child. But he telling you, I'm the creator that create that child. So I told you, you're supposed to persecute that person by letting them know you're going to hell or you don't change. But you saying, you know what? That's my child. No, I can't condemn it. I just can't leave them out there like that by themselves. No. God forbid, if I ever had a child, and that child was gay, you would not be in my house. Sleep outside in the cold. Let's see how the cold feel on top of your body. Period. Better yet, or you saying that child's underage, and you gotta be responsible to take care of that child, no, guess what? He go out for adoption. Bye-bye. Because you would not sit up in my house like that. Because when Christ come back, I'm not going to be sitting right there, God, give an answer for your sin. No. I'm already in hell as it is. Why I want to die and be in torment for the rest of my eternal life? No. You got me, I'm stupid. You got me messed up. You got me messed up. Ain't no way, ain't you think I'm going to do that. No way. Bye-bye. I'm not editing that out. Go let's stay right there. Go right there, read on, go back to Andrews, get the decimal ready for me too, the page. 41.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, and verse 41. Even so now, seeing corruption is brought up, and wickedness increased, and the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. Wherefore shall not be so now also.
So even though the righteous pray for the ungodly, shall they hope that he can change their life? He said, wait, read that last part again.
Wherefore shall it not be so now also?
Meaning we are doing it now. We are praying for the sodomite. We are praying for the idols, people who worship different gods. We are praying for these people to change to get their mind right. But it's so much praying that you can do. The Most High God got the person's heart set to be that way, you just keep on praying. That's all you can keep on doing. And let the Most High God deal with that. So nobody don't need to get offended in what I'm saying right now because it's the truth. Play that next video. It's so right for the people to get married. Now you got this right here on the market now.
Person in the world to get a heart transplant from a genetically modified pig. Doctors in Maryland were granted a special dispensation by the US medical regulator to carry out the procedure because the patient was too ill to receive a human donor organ. But it's hoped the surgery may be a game changer.
The person was too ill to receive a human heart, so you gonna put a pig heart in it.
Damn.
The Bible said the pig is abomination food. So Esau said, we gonna put that in a human body. Let me tell you, if I ever need a heart and they can't find a heart, let me die. Don't put no goddamn pig in my body. Period. 12.
Changer in solving the organ shortage crisis. Tanya Dendrinos reports a warning that some of the images are graphic.
Precious cargo being wheeled into the operating theatre. But this was no ordinary transplant. His donor heart belongs to a genetically modified pig.
He had previous heart surgery, so it took a while to prepare the operative site such that we could remove his heart and replace it with.
So you know that they probably got parasites on it. You know they probably got what's it?
No, what they saying is they made the heart using pig tissue.
But it's still part of a pig.
Right.
It's still a pig at the end of the day. So I guess if you change it, you still put a pig body part in somebody's heart. 12.
Of the animals.
The recipient is 57-year-old David Bennett, ineligible for a human transplant. This 7-hour first-of-its-kind procedure is considered the last
So now,
chance.
at least it was their own people. A pig with a pig. Ain't no difference. Two pink meats. They're mashing each other. So hopefully it might actually work for him. So read that out back in Ezra again.
And the righteous have prayed for the ungodly. Wherefore shall it not be so now also?
So even in these last days, we have to still pray for our people Israel to get their mind right. Read.
Verse 42, he answered me and said, this present life is not the end where much glory doth abide.
So he told Ezra, this ain't the end right now, not in your lifetime right here. This ain't the end. Really?
Therefore have they prayed for the weak, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time.
But the day of doom shall be the end of this time. Guess what, y'all? We are living in the days of doom. We are living in the last days. Why? Because we just see how wicked it had increased to a level that these people thinking they God. The Bible tells do not mix. So why would you put human part in an animal part in a human body? Ain't that called mixing? You're not supposed to be doing that. But these people thinking we God, so we can do what we want to do. Read.
And the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past.
Where corruption will be past.
And temperance is at an end, and fidelity is cut off. Righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up.
So righteousness is going to eventually grow, and the truth is going to be out. Meaning, all the wickedness that Esau them is doing is going to come to an end. And righteousness is going to overtake it. Can't wait till that day to come. Matthew 24. 24 and verse 3.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, where shall these things be? And what shall be the signs of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So the disciple asked him, when going to be the end of the world? What world is he speaking about? Give me 2 Andrews, chapter 6 and 9. The first one was Matthew 24 and verse 3. Now we're going to 2 Andrews, chapter 6 and verse 9.
And the Apocrypha, the book of 2 Andrews, chapter 6 and verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it.
Read it again. I love that.
For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it.
It said Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it. Meaning the word that Christ is speaking about that is coming to an end is the world of Esau. His kingdom is coming to an end. His rulership is coming to an end. And Jacob is the beginning of the new word to come. Who is Jacob? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. Your word is starting to reign when Esau's word comes down. Christ's going to be the king. He's going to be the president. He's going to be the Lord. He's going to be everything in the new word to come. And guess who's going to rule with him? Us. Those that keep the laws and the commandments, we're going to reign and rule this whole planet Earth with Christ. And there ain't going to be no breaking that. That kingdom is never going to come to an end. So from there, go back to Matthew 24 and read it again.
The book of St. Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciple came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, where shall these things be? And what shall be the signs of thy coming, and of the end of the world?
So which word comes to an end, guys? Esau. Great.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass.
So the Bible says we will hear rumors of wars. That's why I started to show that video earlier, showing how these wars is going throughout all the earth. That's how you, when you tell the news, that's what you hear. Not only from different countries, you're hearing wars within your own country. Read.
But the end is not yet.
So guess what, Israel? The end is not yet. These days must be. He said, don't let it trouble you, because these days must be. Read.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
And we see that kingdom against kingdom.
And there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquake in diverse places.
Look at that video real quick. The one with the food shortage. Wow. This right here is coming, y'all. It's already in some location right now as we speak.
Hi, it's Alaska Granny. If you've been to the grocery store lately, perhaps you're asking yourself, are food shortages becoming worse? Why are there food shortages? We have supply chain disruptions. We have winter weather surges that are preventing trucks from getting through. We have the Omicron variant of the COVID pandemic that is raging across the world. The price of crude oil has gone up to $86 a barrel and maybe going as high as $100. The price of animal feed and fertilizer is skyrocketing. We have a shortage of truck drivers, including at the Canadian border. Canada is now requiring cross-border drivers to have a vaccine. That is preventing about 20% of the 180,000 drivers who typically go back and forth between Canada and the United States from being able to cross the border and bring the necessary goods. Shoplifting is out of control in many of the cities.
And look what they got on this front camera. All people. I mean, it's embarrassing when you see crap like this. And all gotta be all people in the camera, but you know it wasn't only all people. It was their nation too up in there. But they gonna make sure they put us on there to start making us like the wild animals. But all people all gotta be that dumb Jake. Just sit right there, make sure they're in the front of the camera. Cities. California
California has train robberies. 90 containers per day are being robbed off of the trains in California.
Now, you know, I bet you any money that train power is parked in an area where crime rate is very high. And they do that just for this right here to happen. Because these trains is literally locked down. So they know where to go park this stuff at to make these stuff get robbed just before you can have a full shortage inside these places. Because why? They start moving natural guards inside these locations to start monitoring everybody. That's all they're doing. They're pushing these stuff in here. But people act like, oh, this is a coincidence that happened. No. Esau is setting these stuff up like that because they got a bigger picture behind the scene. Play on.
Manufacturers are producing fewer varieties of goods. There are food recalls for many reasons, including E. coli. What are the shortages? What are the items you may not be able to find in your grocery store? Well, the ones that I've noticed are paper goods, canned goods, chicken, eggs, meat, pet food, bananas, leafy greens, onions, luncheon meats, the children's Lunchable packs, juices and juice boxes, cream cheese, and baby formula. It's a complicated reason why there are food shortages. The prudent thing to do is stock up while you can find the things that you want, so that you're not going to be held hostage to rising prices, buying things you don't really care about, because that's all that is left on the shelves. So take this as...
So right there, she's telling you, they're going to start going up on the prices. And we already see that right now. The prices is going up. So eventually, they're going to start going even more higher than that. You might go in the store and try to get a gallon of milk, and you might have to pay $8 for that milk. And guess what? We gonna pay for it because we ain't got nowhere else to go get it. And guess what? How you know a lot's gonna pay for it? Because remember when gas went sky high? Guess what we did? We paid for gas. Water. Because we ain't had no other way to go. That's Esau know what he doing. That's why I know the fellas over here, we all talk about getting your what they call MRE food to stack up with those stuff that can last up to 5-10 years. Because these type of food right here, you can't really stack up on these stuff like that. Canned goods don't last no more than 2 to 5 years. Not even 5 years, I think.
If we ever get canned foods, you have to get one of them seals and put it in the freezer.
Yeah, one of those seal kind. So, I mean, at the end of the day, these foods don't, and then when you think about it, a lot of these foods is all made in a lab, so you don't really know what you might turn out on these things.
You know what's in them can.
Meats, you might not even think about trying to stack up on your meats. So you best are getting dried beans, rice. Now you can't even probably get no rice because they're making plastic rice.
Esau's, I don't know about Esau. I don't want to get off track, but the self-checkout. I told myself I would never do that unless I'm on the payroll. Because I don't work there. I didn't go there to go to work. I went to go shopping. And I find myself right in that line along with everybody else, checking yourself out. Because you don't want to stand in the other line for 3 hours. It only took you 30 minutes to do your little shopping.
But tell me, Esau is so smart, man.
Esau.
He study everybody.
Yeah.
That's what he do, he study you. You might say, like, we might say, and my wife always kill me with that stuff. I got to do a backup camera on your car, right? I remember the first time I said, man, I never do that stuff. That joke, man, I'm not using that stuff. But guess who uses it all the time? They set you up. They know they'll read your mind. Just like smartphone. We might say, I get on that smartphone for all my information. Everybody on planet Earth right now got a smartphone.
Yeah.
So Esau study you. But on that bottom, we gotta make sure, guess what? That we don't abuse those stuff. Use it wisely. And use it for what is gonna benefit you. Let's go ahead and drop that right there. So we see right now, the Bible says about famine. We see that stuff coming. And certain areas now, they got it real bad. Even over there in China. I don't bring up all the video, but over there in China, the river is so filthy over there. Right now, even down to Greece. If I tell y'all, y'all won't believe me unless I really would show y'all it. The way how they get their grease, they get it what they call sewer grease. They go in the sewer and drain it out and run it to the stuff and repurify the grease and reuse it in China.
Yeah, they recycle everything.
So you know what be in the sewer, right? Rats, all kind of stuff. But guess what? Guess where we get most of our grease from? We get our grease from China. So all the little fried chicken we be eating, we might got some rat heads sitting up in it. You be, look at that. But hey, that's what the Bible tells me. You gotta eat a small portion, you better pray over your food. Because these people wicked, man. Now what Moab gets, I got part in here too about Moab. They got their punishment coming too. They gonna fit right in with Esau. Because those are two ones that really doing a lot of wickedness. Read on, verse 5.
Verse 5.
So we read.
7. Start at 8.
Yeah, start at 8.
The book of St. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 8. All of these are the beginning of sorrow.
So all these stuff we see right now, y'all, is the sorrow is starting to hit us. A lot of people gonna be moping, they're gonna be crying on a certain level, especially when these jobs start getting shut down. Because that eventually gonna be the next step. Read.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted.
Now this part right here going to the Israelite brothers that's on these streets. They're going to deliver us up because why? We teaching this gospel right here. We're warning the people, and they're going to try to shut us up. So you're going to have people among the congregation that are going to betray us and turn us in. Don't got darn Judas. Read.
And shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
That right there is the head of all nations. They're not talking about only the other nation. They're also speaking about the people of your own people. When it said all nation, meaning every nation on planet Earth going to hate us because of what we teaching. Read.
Verse 10. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another.
Just like I just get you saying, to be your own people among your own congregation. Read.
And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many.
Guess what? That false prophet also going to Israelite false prophets. They're not only talking about the Christian church. They're talking about your own people within the Israelite group. Talking about you can have multiple wives. You got to say the name Yahushua. This right here going into the false prophet right here too. Of your own people that so-called say they're awakened. Read.
Verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
We already see this right now. People don't got no love for each other. None whatsoever. Read.
But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
The Bible says, he that endured to the end, that brother and sister going to be saved. Because they endured to the very end. They did not tuck their head between their leg and ran. They stuck it out. When they saw their husband got killed, they continued to keep coming in fellowship with the brothers and sisters to keep pushing the truth. When they see their children got taken away from them because the school system said, oh, you teach your hatred at that place you go to, or you keep on going, we're going to take your kids away from you. That sister and that brother stay right there because they know the truth fact. even though their kids got took away from them. Y'all, I'm telling you, this thing gonna get harder. It's gonna get way bad in America. Read on.
Verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Read 14 again.
And this gospel,
this is the gospel. This gospel right here when we teach it is going to be the one that set everything off. Christianity is throughout the whole earth. The end came? No, we still here. Islam is throughout the whole earth. Did the end came? No, we still here. All the other religion is throughout the whole earth. But this gospel right here ain't throughout the whole earth, not yet. Guess what? It's starting to spread now. All praise to the one king. Not gonna call the name up, but they can't know who they are. They're the ones spreading this gospel. All praise to the Most High for that king. Because they got the manpower to reach throughout all these nations. This gospel is going throughout the earth right now. Because why? It can't be stopped. Read.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
To all nations. When it's to all nations, because why? Israel is scattered through all four corners of the earth. Not only because Israel is scattered through all four corners of the earth, to let the other nation know that our God is coming to redeem Israel. And y'all got y'all judgment coming. Read.
And then shall the end come.
And then the end gonna pop up. The end gonna be there. From there, give me 2 Esdras 9.
And the Apocrypha, the book 2 Esdras, chapter 9 and verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquake and uproars of the people in the world, then shall thou well understand that the Most High speak of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning.
So the Bible says the Most High will come and visit the earth. Read verse 2 one more time for me.
Verse 2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
So right here we see that Ezra is showing us, the angel telling him, the Most High God is going to visit the earth. How do he visit the earth? They tell you with fire and earthquake. So right here, so looks like he's showing the Most High God is visiting the earth. Play that. Get the earthquake. So right here, that's the fire. Now we're going into the earthquake that just happened not too long ago. I think it was what, in February. Matter of fact, this month right here, February.
In Jiajiang and Ruchang in Jiangxi Province, China, caused 14 deaths and more than 370 injuries. According to Xinhua.net. The Chinese government official news outlet, an earthquake of magnitude 5.7 occurred between the counties of Jiajiang and Ruchang in Jiangxi Province at 8:49 a.m. 2 aftershocks occurred around 9:10. People in Jiajiang City and Danchang City reportedly felt the quakes. As of 11:55 p.m. in Jiajiang County, 6 people had died, 247 people had been reported injured, more than 8,000 houses collapsed, and more than 29,000 houses were reported damaged. The serious disaster areas are among the cities of Chengxi, Xintang, Minshan, and Gangkou. Ruchang City reported 6 deaths, with more than 130 injured. More than 500 houses collapsed, and more than 100,000 houses were reported damaged. More than 420,000 people reportedly left their homes. The serious disaster areas are in the city suburbs. The quake was reportedly felt in Jingtown, Xinyu, Yichun, Yingtan, Shangrao in Jiangxi Province, Wuhan, Huangshi, Huanggang in the eastern Hubei Province, Hangzhou in the northeast of Zhejiang Province, the southern areas of Anhui Province, and the northeastern part of Hunan Province.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 29 and verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder.
With thunder?
And with earthquake.
Earthquake, we started earthquake, read.
And great noise.
And great noise. I thought that great noise, I thought that was going to be the big nukes and stuff like that. But I started thinking about it as I was studying and getting my notes together. The word God said, you remember those strange sounds that you was hearing? This right here prove it. Read that part right there, and great noise.
And great noise with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire.
So let's get this right here. Check this right here out, y'all.
Strange sounds are being heard around the world. In Sweden, this sure sounds like a trumpet.
Pause that.
In Michigan.
They say it sounds like a trumpet. Don't that sound like the trumpet when we blow most of the time? Ain't the Bible say about the angel gonna start blowing their trumpet? How many seals is already broken right now? Right now, we're in the 6th seal. So these sounds that they're hearing, like I said earlier, the angel is sitting out in the air, and they're just waiting for the Most High to give them the sound. Play on.
Michigan, another trumpet-like sound. In British Columbia, Canada, Dr. Glenn McPherson.
No, Paul, you always have an Esau just trying to come against something to make you bad. Oh, so yeah, that probably was right. That probably it was. Play on.
Sound in his home. At first, he thought it was an appliance.
Ultimately, I cut the power to the entire house, and the sound got louder.
Then he discovered he was not alone.
This is in fact a worldwide phenomenon, and I'm calling it the worldwide hum.
Check out his hum map data project. To date, 17.
Look at the area where this stuff mostly located at. Who's staying in the area? Esau. Look over down there in Africa. Not that much. So there's not the most times he gonna visit the earth. This right here, I mean, when I saw this, my whole skin just crawled. My head let me stand up on my head when I saw this right here. Because that's a good one. I won't get too bad, bud. But this right here show you where all Esau stand at, all these people in this area. Look at America. It's literally almost covered in red. That's what I'm saying. It's literally covered. All these people hearing this sound, and they're saying they're hearing the same sound. Well,
1,000 civilians and scientists from around the world who call themselves hummers have reached out to him, saying they heard the same thing. McPherson thinks the mysterious hum could be caused by low-frequency sound waves that sound like this. He actually built this 3-foot by 6-foot steel box that blocks out low-frequency sound waves.
Now, Paul, this is how powerful the Most High God is. So he said, I'm going to make you see that they ain't what you had. Watch this.
Reason, even inside it, he says he still hears the strange hum.
Going into the box made absolutely no difference whatsoever to my perception of the hum. If anything, maybe even it got louder.
That's the power of God right there. You think from there, guess Esau sort of blocked that. So we're going to go ahead and give me 2 Peter chapter 3. 2 Peter chapter 3, and we're going to start at verse 9.
The book, 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 9. The Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to us with, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to the repentance.
So right here, verse 9, God is not slack in concerning his promise for the judgment coming toward Esau and the wicked. He's going to hold to that promise that he said. He's not slack, but he don't want the punishment to go to his people. But if we don't keep the laws and commandments, we're going to get it. We're going to get that same judgment what Esau going to get when we don't change our ways. So Israel, I'm just asking everyone, go home, rewatch the class over, study and try to pray for your families and friends to waken them up. And most of all, make sure you is keeping the laws and the commandments. Don't try to tell somebody else that you live in sin. That's not going to benefit nothing. And with that, Israel, I said, most high Christ bless. So long.